Hey, Perfect Spirit. I'm Sam Shelley, and they call me the Miracle Man. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. I talk about getting rid of all that nonsense, all those thoughts, beliefs, opinions that don't serve you. This is the head trash. We need to throw that out because on the opposite side of this is love. So we really want to learn from a place to operate from a place of love. So, when I began my journey, I really forgot who I was. I was completely identified with this story in my head. I have bipolar, I have MS, I have this, I have that, I need this, I take this medicine. Like I was really wrapped up in my identity, my personality, and I really forgot who I was. So I was completely stressed out and overwhelmed with life. But then I read about meditation and inner peace. I'm like, I need that. So I did my own little 5-minute practice. Then within 2 weeks, I realized, wait a second, I have thoughts, but I'm not my thoughts. Then the next question was, if I wasn't my thoughts, then who was I? Remember, we're always playing this game of forgetting who we are. I got it, I lost it. I was completely lost. I only thought I was my thoughts. So within 2 weeks of my simple practice, I realized I'm not my thoughts. So that changed everything. But then the next question was, well, if I'm not my thoughts, then who am I? And these two words changed my life completely. When I heard that intuitive voice say perfect spirit, that was it. That was that eureka moment. And that's how spirit speaks, this deeper place. 2, 3 words, no stories, no excuses, nothing, just few words. That's all it does. Do this, do that, or an insight. So who am I? Perfect spirit. And that's who you are. That's why I say, everyone, hey, perfect spirit, because we're all perfect spirit. Our spirit is perfect. It cannot be touched. It doesn't die, wasn't born, just is the energy that animates the body. So this body will come and go, but the energy will remain and may inhabit another body, another form, someplace else. We're not the only intelligent species in the universe. I'm sure with these billions of planets, there's someone else out there. So those two words really changed my life. So this is the game we play. We forget who we are. We're so wrapped up in our stories, and it just begins at an early age when they start calling you by a certain name. Then they start giving you gender identity, male, female, and they start building on the stories. As you go through life, you build on the stories. You can see this, you can really see this in young children, like 3, 4 years old. They're all full of life. But maybe by the time they're 10, 12, you start getting their personality, their identity starts to develop, and it really starts being ingrained to become locked into a certain way. And it's because they're completely identified with their stories, with their identities. I am what I think. And that's not really a supportive place to be, because our thoughts are not the truth. Because the other side of our thoughts is this place of love, of peace, of spirit. So it's just a game we're playing. And that's what I really help in my circles, is anchoring that sense of peace. Because most people haven't experienced the peace that is really them. Because up in here is a buzzsaw of noise, creating stress and overwhelm. But once you have this taste of peace, then you can start going into playing the game, remembering, forgetting of who you were. But once you remember who you were, you can get yourself back to the anchor. Oh, I'm caught in my story, caught in the drama, the stress of the day. But you don't criticize, you don't judge yourself. This place is beyond judgment. It just is. It's a complete acceptance that this moment is perfect just as it is. It's here for my greatest good, for my development, that there are no mistakes in the universe. Lots of things we don't understand, but there are no mistakes. And that's hard. Like being run over by a van at age 6. How could that not be a mistake? But see, being hit by a van at 6 allowed me to be who I am today. That set up a whole chain of events that made me very sick. A lot of coming from mental illness due to the head traumas at 6 years old. But it was perfect. It really got me in tune with who I was. But something else happened at age 6 too that I didn't understand, and my parents didn't understand it either, so I couldn't really learn and grow from that. After the operation, after being hit, I just remember waking up in the middle of the night, seeing these bright white lights and 3 tall silhouettes on each side of me. They weren't saying anything. They're just removing my life support, removing the tubes. I just remember stuff being pulled out of my arms, wherever. I just felt things being removed from me. And not in a kind, gentle way, if you will. It was like rip, 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 rip. That's what I really remember, the sensation of like the tape that was on you, like just being ripped off, just ripping things off, not being gentle, like no bedside manner. But they just removed all my life support. But yet, after it was removed, I remained alive. And I distinctly remember my mom asking me in the morning, why'd you remove your tubes? Why'd you remove your life support? And I had no answer for that. So Mom had to be right. It had to be me. Somehow it had to be me. I was dealing with this head trauma, broken bones, but somehow I pulled these tubes off. That's where she didn't know there's something beyond this physical reality, if you will. She didn't step back and ask herself, wait a second, how could the 6-year-old boy do this? How could he remove all these tubes, all this stuff, when he really only has the use of one arm? And even that's questionable at that point, because my left arm was just shattered. My left leg, hip was just shattered. So all I had, maybe I had this one working hand. But how it still can remove like tubes on that one arm? How could it do that? There's no way I could physically remove tubes on this arm. And I'm sure there was nothing in this arm because it was like crushed. I'm sure they probably didn't do anything with that. So I'm sure my tubes right here on my right arm. So how could I physically remove my tubes here on my right arm or my IV? How could I do that? And how could I pull out the stuff in my throat? How would I have the awareness to do that? Don't you just put tape around those tubes too, so they don't get tugged out and like straps and stuff? So it's lots of questions she didn't ask herself, like, how could he have done this? Because there's nothing else out there. So that basically shut down, that I had to do this. And I was in no mental state to figure this out. I was dealing with that head trauma. I was in the hospital for a year, then rehab for about 6 months afterwards. I was a mess. But see, that lesson at 6 years old, I was too young to understand that we didn't need the outside world to heal ourselves. The outside world is simply our tools or aids, because there's no way I could reset my bones in my left arm, my left leg, hip. There's no way I could reset those bones. So that's where we need help. And this is where we need sometimes medicine to help the body along. So there's just our tools or aids are out there, but healing comes from within us. And I said this before, you can have the best surgeon in the world, the best medicine in the world. But if you believe this will not work for me, it will not work. Because you have to co-create your reality. You're a co-creator. You're always involved. And the mindset determines, if this is acceptable or not. I know when my father was going through a lot of kidney issues, kidney stones, he always had the mentality that this isn't going to work for me. And it never did work for him. He was never cleared of the kidney issues, the kidney stone issues. It was never clear because he didn't have the belief that this was going to work for him. He was always in doubt, like, oh, this again, it's not going to work. Why do we keep doing this? It's not going to work. And eventually he had enough. He says, I'm not doing this anymore. Because it would never have worked for him. Because that's how our mind is. We co-create our reality. So we're playing the game, remembering, forgetting who we are. And once we know who we are, deeply deeply trusting and believing this voice, you become unstoppable. This nonsense no longer controls you. You see, everything is interconnected. It's all interconnected in this unconditional love. Like the universe is not judging you, condemning you. There's no great guy in the sky watching your every moment and say, oh, you're a sinner, you're going to pay for this. No, there's no judgment up there. Yeah, on your life review after this, I'm sensing the life review afterwards, you may see like, oh, I went off course. I need to readjust. And you'll go back and you'll readjust. But there's nobody shaming you, blaming you up there. Even these, mass murderers, it's hard to explain them because they're so caught up in their story, but yet their spirit remains perfect, untouched. And they're going to have to pay the price, if you will, when they go through their life review and they see how much they were off course. But maybe there's a slight possibility they weren't off course. Maybe they were there to teach humanity a lesson that don't give this person so much power, like dictators. Don't give society one person so much power over your lives. There's some kind of divine plan we cannot understand, but just to realize that there are no mistakes in the universe. So I'm going off tangent here today, but I think it's really important that you understand that you're not your thoughts. On the opposite end of your thoughts is the real you, this unconditional love. So have this unconditional love, this compassion for yourself, this peace for yourself, to realize you're doing your best in this moment based on your understanding of the situation and, most importantly, the depths of your own awareness. A lot of people are very reactive. They only live up in the head. And I was in that space for 37 years. I only knew myself as my thought system. But those two words just changed me, perfect spirit. And just realize you are a perfect spirit doing your best in this world with all these experiences, all this trauma, all this pain. You're really doing your best, so have this compassion, this gentleness for yourself. All right, well, take good care of yourself, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye for now.